Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home and Away, a podcast devoted to all things in and around the world of sport in Kansas City soccer. I am Drew Vanderplug, joined once again, as always, by my good friend Cody Welton. This week on the podcast, Sporting Kansas City exorcised some demons against the Colorado Rapids Saturday night in Children's Mercy Park, sweeping the season series with a 4-2 win. We did see some adjustments to the setup, moving Santi Munoz more centrally in more of a 4-2-3-1. As someone on this podcast suggested might be a good idea last week, and it largely improved Sporting's shape as well as Munoz's ability to impact the match. That said, it wasn't until the team switched back to the 4-4-2 late that they were able to create the 3-goal scoring barrage that took down the Rapids and had the fans in the stands screaming with joy. While there were a number of performances to highlight in this one, both good and bad, because while we want to celebrate the final scoreline, it was a bit enhanced due to some rather key interventions by John Pulskamp and Ian James, as well as some fortuitous poor shooting in key circumstances by the Rapids. We'll get into all of that, as well as discuss more in-game adjustments by Kerry Zavagnin, as well as the ebbs and flows of watching this team play that can often be a little bit exhausting for the emotional centers of our respective brains. There were a number of other news stories in and around the Sporting Kansas City MLS soccer sphere this week, including a Leagues Cup final that might be making more news due to the actions after the game than the ones during it. The Kansas City Current continued their winning ways, as well as Mauricio Pochettino continuing to anger a certain segment of the U.S. men's national team fan base with his player selections. Finally, we'll do a quick preview of Sunday Night Soccer in Kansas City as Austin FC comes to town, and Sporting tries to string together a pair of positive results in a row. Cody, damn the underlying numbers. It appears that Sporting should just try to schedule the Rapids for every game. 6 goals across 2 games, each with an unconverted penalty kick by Colorado. Everything was just coming up Millhouse for Sporting in both of these matches. I think perhaps the most noteworthy thing to start the match was related to the lineup and the setup. As I alluded to earlier, Santi Munoz moving more centrally, playing nominally as a number 10 or kind of an underneath forward. But also with Ian James getting the start at right center back next to Robbie Volater. Mm-hmm. What did you think of these choices by Zavagnin, and do you think they worked?
I was quite surprised to see James starting. I think that it worked. I think that it worked fine. I think that he played for 60 minutes. He, I think for the most part, impressed. I thought that the thing that stood out the most about him was different hairstyle, right? Like going with the cornrows instead of the fly. He's
had them for a while. He just hasn't been on the field, so you couldn't tell.
He looked way older and way more mature, and not like a little floppy haired
barely 17
Zoomer kid, right?
Like barely 17.
And so man, I mean, he is just impressive to me. Like sort of. When you consider how old he is, the way he carries himself, the way he plays, he just seems he seems like he's a lot older than 17, and so I remain pretty optimistic about him and about his involvement in the team. I didn't think he was perfect, but I thought that he did fine, right? He did enough, and he wasn't a detriment, which is, I think, really about all you can ask from a kid put into that situation. The Munoz thing, I thought was perfect. I mean, that is, it was just so obvious, to you and I watching him play. As a wide midfielder in that 4-4-2, it was just so obvious that is just really not his strong suit, and it takes him out of games. It takes him out of the places where he sort of naturally is able to find and impact the game. And so, why would you do that? It was nice to see him in the center of the pitch and. Sort of helping dictate play and being a positive impact. So I thought that was both of those changes. I think were nice to see.
Yeah, I think it was pretty clear within the first 90 seconds of the game that Munoz being in the center of the pitch was immediately impactful. To him being able to influence the game in the way that we know that he can. When he was playing on the left, when he was playing wide, he was just not. He's not a ball progressor. Like, you cannot thread progressive passes into him and have him take it downfield. That's not really his game. and he's a connector, and it's just hard for him to do that over on the sideline.
Yeah.
And he, in the central spaces, he just seems to operate much better. He honestly is probably the closest facsimile that the club has to Manu Garcia in this regard, as far as his ability to receive in tight spaces, to turn with the ball, to find the next sort of short pass that releases someone into space. Those are things he naturally does well, even if he's not, quote-unquote, a 10, so to speak. Like, we don't think of him in the same way as you would think of a Vander or somebody like that. Like, I'm not trying to compare him, but I do think that he is much more able to impact the game from central spaces, and you saw that fairly quickly in this one. He didn't necessarily get on the score sheet until they had actually gone back to the 4-4-2, but we'll talk about that in a second and how I think it's different in the way that it's used late in this game than in the way it is at the beginning of a game. When it comes to James, I will agree with you. I think he was mostly pretty good. For a 17-year-old, he turned 17 a couple months ago. Like he was 16 to start the season. For a 17-year-old kid getting a start in an MLS game, he looked mostly the part. There was on the play where he makes the goal line clearance, which is a really nice, like, smart move by him to get to the line and make this goal line clearance. That play starts because he makes a naive step.
Right.
So we're going to give him a pass on that play because while he made the mistake that allowed the play to start, he got back and covered the goal line and made the clearance. And, it ends up looking like a really fantastic play by him. Not so much, but
the thing is how many times in the last handful of years have we seen Sporting Kansas City's center backs get beat and stay beat?
100%.
Right? Like, and he didn't give up on the play. He hustled until the very end, and that means something, right? That is, it might not show up on the stat sheet or whatever, but that sort of that vibe is really what you're looking for.
And it was very Jansen Miller-esque, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And I think, so you're seeing a player in James play the position in a similar way that we've seen with Jansen Miller that we enjoy. And Miller is far from the complete article as well. But part of the reason why I think he sat on the bench for this one is he had a pretty rough outing the previous week against Seattle and got subbed off. Reasonable people can disagree whether that's the best thing to do with a rookie that's trying to learn the position. It didn't seem to really hurt his play in the second half of this game, and he came out and played very well. So I think there are opportunities for James at this point in the season is great. I love that. It has me questioning what the hell we're doing with Alan Montes. Other than sending him back to Necaxa at the end of the year?
Hey, if you bring a guy in on a loan, and if we've already talked about the fact that you weren't able, to watch him practice or play, and so if you bring him in and he doesn't fit or he's not doing what needs to be done, then fine, you just end the loan and that's fine. You don't have to see him if he's not able to conduct himself in practice. Then it's okay to cut bait and walk away. It does look, the optics of it look really strange, but I think that's mostly based upon the fact that we know we know that center backs are going to be signed this winter, right? And so, we're hoping for a little bit less uncertainty in terms of that. But really,
I don't want us to get sucked into the same stuff that happened with Vermees and like this guy practices bad, so he never plays.
I don't that's not really my sense of what's going on, but I don't really know, right? I mean, Sperry's probably the best one to ask about that. But I think that Kerry, all you got to do is go back to the Jansen Miller thing. I think Kerry does not comport himself like Vermees in that respect. If Jansen Miller under Peter Vermees had, a bad half or a bad game, he might not see the field again, ever,
for like a
right?
month. For like a month or something like that.
I mean, Peter Vermees' doghouse was a dungeon, and players went there and their sporting careers died, and that does not really seem to be the way that things go with Kerry. And I think that is why he has been, I think, a step in the right direction in terms of developing young players. And it's not like Ian James has had nothing but positive reviews. He's struggled in some games and given up penalties and that sort of thing. And so to see him get the start in front of Jansen Miller, I think was a statement. But then
in his most comfortable position, next to a center back who knows how to play the left.
Absolutely,
I think that James did give up that penalty. He was playing left center back at the end of a game, and I think that Kerry gave him an opportunity to play with a legitimate starting lineup in his natural position, which is
weird. And he looked good.
It looked good, right? And it's the same thing he did with Jacob Bartlett for 20 games before deciding to. Their structure didn't work, at least without Manu. It doesn't work as a 4-3-3.
Yeah,
and sort of shifting away from it. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think the man management here, you can tell, is good. I don't have any issue with Kerry's man management. I really don't.
Totally agree.
What I do have questions about is, and maybe this is just a flyer, and maybe it's a good thing that Burns got this as a loan in the first place, but like they desperately need an aerially dominant center back.
Yeah.
Maybe it is James. Maybe that's who it is long term. I don't know, but like that was the whole point of Montez, and we just don't see him. And he's out of the lineup for Seattle because his wife's having their first baby, and congratulations to them. And I understand all of those things, but there are only so many games left in this season to do some sort of evaluation of whether or not this is a guy that should be sticking around or not. And if he doesn't play, then he can't stick around.
Yeah. Absolutely. That goes without saying. I mean, if you can't even get on the field in the time that they have left, then that's that's all you got to know.
Not only than that, you're being supplanted by a 17-year-old.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to read too much into it, but there's certainly a lot to read.
Yeah, you have to read something into it, right? That's a fact that you can't ignore.
Because right center back is nominally Montez's natural position as well.
Yeah,
like he's played left center back a lot, but he is nominally a right center back. So anyway,
I mean the problem with James, right, is that if he's good enough to start, he's probably not going to be around here very long, and so you still have to plan.
You need a
backup
plan for sure. Yep. Yeah, I understand that, but it's a weird dynamic to manage where I would prefer, like, I think he might end up starting in front of Jansen Miller, and Jansen Miller is the guy that comes in once you sell him, and that's fine. But that they still got to upgrade that position with more players, and you would hope that Montez could potentially be that, and so far we haven't seen it. Maybe we will. Maybe it's just taking time for him to acclimate. I don't know what it is. I mean, to Ian James's credit, he's been training with the first team of this club for like 3 years, 2 years for sure. So I think that his familiarity, obviously, with what the center backs do in this system, I don't think it's changed that much under Kerry. That would be something that might make him more ready to step in, perhaps, I guess, but we'll see. So a couple things tactically that I noticed in this one. Obviously the 4-2-3-1. I think, like we said, Munoz much more effective kind of in that 10 position than he had been all in the last couple games. But also they really, really focused on using Kyrie as a ball progressor. I don't know if you noticed this, but he was sort of, they were kind of generally going up the right side, either via Volodar sort of switching play to him or Miller just playing him in, and then Shoppy liking to get very wide, and Shelton sort of inverting into the midfield. I don't know if you noticed all this, but Shelton was sort of getting on the ball in sort of that right-sided midfield position to add that third midfielder, and he was dealing from there and like finding progressive passes from there. I think he had the most progressive passes in the match. He had the most passes of anyone in the match. I think it's something like 66 or something like that. He was very, very influential in this game. And I don't know if that was something that was very specific to trying to attack Colorado's left side. It was the side that Paxton Aronson was on, and we'll get into some of the problems that Aronson created for Sporting in this game, offensively. But yeah, they seemed to at least be able to be effective at moving the ball forward along that side. I don't know what to take from that at all, but there were some positives I saw from that I just thought were noteworthy. They especially in the second half of this game, very much in the second half, they were really, really good at using Kyrie in that sort of right-sided half channel and getting him there sort of inverted into the midfield and delivering passes, especially with Munoz sort of cutting in off his left and then Shoppy being available on his right.
Well, I think part of the problem goes back to having to start Leibold at left back, right? I mean, you can't really rely. Leibold is not a progressive, especially carrier in the way that Kyrie Shelton can be, and so I think that you don't necessarily want him carrying the ball forward either, because he's showing that he can be a defensive liability when it comes to tracking back in a timely fashion, and so that placing more of the onus on Kyrie to progress the ball, I think, sort of alleviates that. And when you look at the midfield, the midfield is not a very necessarily ball progressive midfield, right? You don't have other than Davis, right? You don't have a lot of players in the midfield. That's not what Munoz does. We've already talked about that. That's not really what Basong excels at. And so it just sort of I think naturally falls to Kyrie to be the person who could do that. And as a player who converted from right wing to right back, he is capable of doing that, right? Because you have to be in order to be sort of Ndembe-esque in that role, you have to be able to pass and carry progressively, because it takes the threat of either one of those things to sort of open up passing lanes and have players play off of you enough that you can make impacts happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. Specifically Leibold, you can't really play the ball through him.
No,
that's not what he's good at. He's more good at getting on the end of the ball and then delivering from there. Mm-hmm. And we saw a lot of that in this game, both in his wide delivery from when getting forward, as well as his set piece delivery. This is another thing that I just was really, really happy with in this game. I think I texted you about it. Both free kicks and corner kicks were some of the best I've seen from this team all year.
Yeah.
It was just, and it was really, really just sort of pragmatic, looking at like, okay, Leibold is probably our best ball delivery guy on the team, period. Maybe we should use that as much as possible. Because he was taking corners from both sides of the field. Mm-hmm. Obviously, so that you're moving him all the way over to the right to take in-swingers with his left foot on corner kicks. And Kerry was totally willing to make that make that compromise of him.
Well, it's not like he's going to be tracking back defensively anyway, so you might as well just say, dude, go.
He is the most optional defender I've ever seen.
It's hilarious.
I think I said this in the Discord. I think Jordi Alba defends more than Tim Leibold does.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, man. The second goal that Colorado scores is the most. Just like, I could not give less of a shit about trying to track this guy.
Yeah.
The most half-hearted attempt to act like he's playing defense that I've ever seen, man. And I think I also said this in Discord. Like, Tim Leibold, of the current players that are playing regularly for this team, is the most likely to make me yell at my television. Or yell at the field or whatever. He just is most likely to do something like that. It's just like, because this is not like skill.
Right. It's just effort.
It's just, are you even trying, man?
Yeah. Maybe he's actually 10 years older than what he's listed at, and he's actually out there balling. I mean, right?
But it's so funny because like he'll do that on one play, and then all of a sudden I'll see him come darting out of nowhere and do some crazy slide to block a ball. Like it's not that he can't do it, it's that he just only chooses to do it sometimes.
Again, maybe he's just older. I mean, sounds like me.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was very much the Tim Leibold experience, and in general, like offensively, he was very good. But
Yeah.
I mean, he's he's such a confounding player, man, because he's not fast enough, nor does he have the stamina to be an actual winger.
Mm-hmm.
He's doesn't defend at all.
Yeah.
So like he's just like a one use sort of object that doesn't really fit on a soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if Sporting's defense was better, it wouldn't be quite as big of a liability. But
I mean,
the Leibold liability like that.
I do. That's some clever alliteration. Yeah. I mean, if he were just sort of a luxury player, just like someone you throw on to like break down bunker defenses, and you didn't have to rely on him to like be a two-way player and that sort of thing, I think that we might feel a little bit differently about him. But that's not what the case is. And I think to your set piece point, I think that's one thing, or one more thing, maybe we should be hopeful about or look forward to in the upcoming window is that Sporting in remaking their team, Sporting have the I think the ability to focus on set pieces in a way that I've never really felt that I have never felt that set pieces were much more than an afterthought for this team, and that applies to defenders or other players that they sign, being attacking set piece threats, but it also applies to players, having players who are able to take set pieces. And I think that it's just been like whoever just sort of happens to be around who's good at it gets to do it, or whoever's wearing the armband, instead of being sort of more purposeful and being like, look, this is a place where we can really improve the team and really sort of maybe maximize, you take advantage of market inefficiencies and really be a quality set piece team. And it takes, you have to sign players who are able to do that. And I've never had the impression that set piece ability was anywhere even close to being on the radar for the teams that this club signs, and perhaps that could change. I mean, maybe not. I don't think that is that's not the sexy way of evaluating most players, but I think that a team in a market like Kansas City can really work hard to maximize that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, maybe saying it's an afterthought is being a little harsh, but certainly never seemed a priority of any kind.
Yeah.
And we've said this too many times. The margins are so fine in this league. Mm-hmm. If you can find an advantage in some of those margins, it can be useful. It can be useful. Look at what Minnesota does with long throws. Look at what, I mean, there are a variety of things that you can do, and Sporting has tried a lot of them this year. I will give Kerry credit for attempting them. I think, to your point, there's never been sort of a holistic top-down philosophy towards maximizing these types of things.
Right.
So the personnel is not necessarily the best for both attacking and defending set pieces, right? And so you're trying to coach them up the best you can, but you also, like you said, you need to have a priority of doing this, and you have to be bringing in players that help you achieve it. And that is something that the team will have the opportunity to do, assuming incoming CSO that still has not been hired or named or whatever, announced, whatever you want to call it, would perhaps be interested in. And again, like you said, I don't want it to be only that. I do not want this team to become Arsenal. Please, please, please don't make me watch that shit every week.
No, we had that. That was Peter Vermes without the set piece stuff, right? It was just like dire,
But that's what Arsenal does. They suck the life out of the game, make it.
They do.
And don't get me wrong; they're extremely good at executing it.
Yeah,
like I don't besmirch them the opportunity to try to win soccer games. I just abhor the way they go about doing it.
I do. I will besmirch them.
Well, of course.
And I'm not even the Spurs fan, but I will besmirch them just like I besmirched Jose Mourinho for for insisting on hiring like elite talented players and then still playing Mourinho ball and parking the bus and playing against the ball and playing just sort of dire and grim soccer. No, no, no. You can win by playing fun and exciting soccer, and you don't have to win 1-0. I'm completely content that Sporting Kansas City is not that team right now, because it would have been very tempting for a coach who's transitioning and trying to earn the job permanently. It would be very tempting to sort of bunker in and play that kind of soccer, but I think that doesn't seem to be Kerry's mindset. He also does not have the personnel to do that, and so instead we get a 4-2 win, and hooray.
Vermees tried that at the beginning of this season,
right?
And
yeah,
got fired after 6 games, or 8, I guess, if you include Champions Cup, because it just wasn't working, and it was dire. Not only was it dire to watch, it was also not getting results. So, I mean, at some level, you've got to try to get results in the best way that you can. But yeah, everyone, especially the people listening to this pod that are Arsenal fans, I'm sure quite aware that I like to take shots at them. It's just kind of what I do. But also, there are ways for you to be a diligent set piece team without playing boring soccer.
Sure.
You don't have to just wait for your set pieces. You can also be good at set pieces while doing other fun things. They're not mutually exclusive. To your point, it needs to be prioritized, and it has to be from the top down, both in your philosophy towards how you're building your roster as well as your game model and your tactics. Because you should be playing for certain types of set pieces if those are what you are adept at, right? And so there are sometimes you're taking it to the end line and kicking it off a guy's shins for a corner kick, because that is a better opportunity for you to score than it is for you to whip a cross in from that place.
Yep.
Like there are actual tactical reasons for playing a certain way in certain circumstances to give yourself those set piece opportunities if it is something that you have drilled and you feel confident in.
Right now, the team does not have any player on the team who is either competent either in the box or taking the set piece.
Joveljic had 2-headed goals and 2 more at least headed shots in this one.
Okay, so I was thinking center backs, but sure.
Okay.
Joveljic is above reproach in my mind. Like, I don't even consider him when I'm thinking about the team, because he is, he's the real deal. He's worth every bit of money paid for him, and probably much more than that. And so, yeah, he's
$4 million is an absolute steal for this guy.
It's ridiculous. Honestly, it's ridiculous. When you look around, when you see Paxton Aronson went for twice that much money, like Joveljic, well worth it. And I don't know, I guess Paxton Aronson was good.
He gave Jake Davis problems.
He did.
He gave Kyrie Shelton problems.
Yep.
If you look at, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but I sent you the Y-Scout game report for this one. All the way down there, and this is the unfortunate thing about these, and obviously this is an audio medium, so it's hard for me to show this, like visually represent this for you guys. Maybe I'll take a screenshot of it and put it in the Discord.
That would be good.
But I could read this game report for like 3 hours, and you and I have talked about this before. Mm-hmm. There's so much information in it and data that's really helpful. Maybe I can add it to the Discord and let people look through all the data that's in it, because I think it's really helpful. But if you go down past a lot of I don't even know what page it's on. There's a field map that shows duels won, and it shows them in each section of the field, right? And so it's I would say it's about if you're looking at goal to goal, it's 6. So there's 3 per half. It's vertically, but it's actually horizontally across the pitch. And then there are 5 in the vertical channels, right? And all of the kind of Paxton Aronson zone is very heavily weighted dual winning for Colorado. Just the area of the field that he was in was very significantly slanted towards Colorado. I think 65% or something like that of the duels won kind of in that sort of right where zone 14 starts in in the central and left half space, and then that zone directly behind it. Both of those were very heavily duels won by Colorado. And that was what I noticed in just watching the game, was that Aronson, and this is a player we know him to be, his brother is a little like this as well, but Paxton is a much bigger guy, so he's able to do this more effectively. I hate using this phrase because it's often, but he's an industrious player. He will get into physical confrontations. He will position his body well. He will use his body and his willingness to get into physical contact to push people off the ball, to shade people off the ball, and he did it in many circumstances. And he does it at a pretty high pace. Mm-hmm. So, like, you really have to time your challenges well against him, and you have to be ready for contact, and you have to be positioning your contact in a way that it's useful. And I just saw him over and over and over again give Jake Davis a pretty hard time with that. And then Shelton, too, a couple times in the whole sequence where Ian James makes the goal line clearance. Paxton gets the better of Kyrie pretty well in that one. And I just think, I don't want to say Jake got exposed, but you saw the difference between a guy coming back from Europe for $7.5 million and Jake Davis in that circumstance, right?
The thing that impressed me about Paxton is his off ball movement and mostly like the pace of it. Like he wasn't frenetic. He wasn't frenetic. He wasn't chasing the game like his brother is wont to do, just running around like a chicken with his head cut off. I mean, Paxton is a much different player, and he is just sort of taking his time, finding pockets of space, and then
But it's very intentional. Like
absolutely,
it doesn't feel frenetic.
Right.
But he moves with speed.
100%.
He just does it very directly. Right.
Well, and it's kind of like when you see the top number 10s in the league, and people like Evander and people like Lionel Messi, they're walking around, but they're not they're not just slacking, right? They're finding places, and then when the ball comes to them, the flip switches and electricity is what happens. And I think that Paxton has a little bit about that to him, where he's just kind of he's just patient, maybe lulling you into a false sense of security a little bit, and then next thing you know, he is where you weren't expecting him, and he's creating problems.
Well, and maybe I overplayed the physical part of it, because I think that more what I'm saying is he uses his body in an effective way to give himself space.
Sure he does. Well, and I think
Lionel Messi has never been a big dude, quote unquote strong dude, but he's a guy who plays through contact exceptionally well.
Yep.
Like really, really well. Both by his run and positioning sort of limiting the contact the opponent can make on him, but also his ability to just sort of deal with the bump and expect it and be prepared for it and get the ball off to the other foot or something like that, so he's able to play through it. And that's what I'm saying is, like, it's just I felt like especially for like kind of minute 10 to minute 30, when Colorado was really getting the majority of the joy in this match, they were chasing shadows a little bit when it came to him. And they were just struggling to contain him. Thankfully, it didn't last forever. And I think that is kind of what I alluded to in the intro, which is this team can be an emotional roller coaster to watch, because they came out extremely bright, extremely fast. Were creating chances. Munoz really early was very positive in this game. And Decky gets the early goal. Let's be honest, Joveljic has 2 goals in this game. Neither of them are highly repeatable goal-scoring chances.
No, they're ridiculous.
They're elite finishes.
Yeah.
Elite finishes by a striker with his head like basically at belt level to try and direct these on goal. But he gets the goal, and then Colorado found their way into this game and really, really took it to Sporting for a good 25 minutes. And it was rough. It was rough going for that entire period. And then they settled back down again. And then at halftime, and this is what I really wanted to get to, I'm interested to see what you thought about what Kerry told them at halftime, because they really had better control of the game after the half and did not really allow Colorado to do much. I think Calvin Harris had that one good shot that he missed. That was the only decent chance that Colorado got towards the goal in the entire rest of the game. So I don't know if you saw anything while you were watching, but I have my own thoughts because I did rewatch all the second half to kind of get a feeling for what exactly happened. I think some of it is game state. I think Colorado fucked around and sat back too much, to be completely honest. But I think also Sporting was much more patient with the ball. So anyway, go ahead and I don't know what your thoughts were on kind of how they played in the second half, both structurally and then obviously the change to the 4-4-2 and kind of what that allowed them to do.
I don't really have specific thoughts. I'm anxious to hear yours. I will say that this is not a new thing for this team. It's not a new development at all. The aberration in this game is the bright start and the early goal. That's not usually what we've seen. From Sporting Kansas City, especially recently. What we've seen is Sporting Kansas City getting their asses handed to them until halftime, and then the tweaks come at halftime, and then they play like they give a shit again, and that the early goal notwithstanding, that's kind of what happened. They kind of drifted out of the game, and then it took halftime adjustments to sort of re-energize them and refocus them on what they needed to do. And so just in terms of specifics, what did you see? Because I don't know that I can point out specific things.
So there were a couple key things that I noticed in this one. The first one was they were not doing the best job containing Rafa Navarro.
It's Navajo.
Rafa Navajo. Anyway, sorry. I just... That's for Sam Piron, because he got after me for saying Raul Jimenez's name incorrectly. Anyway, Jimenez.
Why? How did you say it?
Well, I said Jimenez, and I just said it again.
Okay.
It's Jimenez is his name. He's been in the Premier League so long, I've heard English guys say Jimenez so many times.
Yeah.
It's Raul Jimenez. Anyway, Rafa Navajo was... they were not doing a very good job of containing him when they would use him as a fulcrum to release wingers. So, and that is something that Colorado do a lot. Their wingers or their wing backs, they will kind of play centrally and kind of sort of use him sort of Harry Kane style to split it and then make a run. They were bracketing him much more heavily. Like as soon as the first half started, every time he got on the ball, there were two center backs bracketing him.
As soon as the second half started.
Yeah, as soon as the second half started. And even after, even when a center back like Kerry does give these guys wherewithal to range forward on the ball if possible, we would see like one. So if they turn it over and the ball would go up to the Navajo, I distinctly remember Jake Davis like busting ass back to create the second defender on top of him to both pressure him as well as like limit the passing options as well as force a quick pass. So they were much more effective at doing that. And the other thing that I really noticed is their counter pressure was way more intensive and way more effective. And I don't know if they saw something regarding the angles that were being taken, or perhaps what Colorado was doing with their passing angles. But both Jake and Zoe had not a very good game in this one. Okay, let's be honest. Like Zoe probably had his worst game in the shirt in a while. Jake was bumpy, had some really good offensive moments, little off and on defensively. But both of them were much more effective in closing space quickly and then not over pursuing. So like this has been an issue that I've had with the way this team presses for a while, is that they come into their pressure pretty hot, and it's pretty easy to use that momentum, shade to one side and let it pass. It's kind of the old Top Gun analogy. It's like hit the brakes, let them fly right by. Like that is kind of what I've struggled with their pressure for a while. They were coming into pressure, slowing down, so that their cover shadow was actually, they were actually placing their cover shadow in a correct place, and then not allowing the opponent to dribble past their pressure. And I don't know what caused them to be able to execute it that much better. And maybe it was just an instruction of like, hey guys, press the ball, but don't go into a tackle. Don't go into a duel every time.
Right.
Just create ball pressure. Make them make a decision. Don't try to win every duel and every tackle, because they were candidly not winning as many of them. So those were the couple things that I noticed. And it really eliminated Colorado's ability to get forward with the ball. Like for half an hour, Colorado really never got the ball in a dangerous position.
Well, they're not, Colorado are not a high quality passing team, right? Like they're not that team. They're not gonna pick you apart with creative passing. And so if you it makes sense that if you just apply ball pressure and mind your cover shadows and passing angles, that's a way to sort of get them to make mistakes. And
also super high pressing goal kicks, which is something they do sometimes, but they were really heavily doing it in the second half.
Why do you think that is?
I think because it allows them to gain turnovers in advantageous areas, but I also think like if you're gonna bring your midfield pressure up, like you would to counter press, like if your goal is to counter press to stop transitions versus counter press to regain the ball. Of course, you would bring your high pressure up on a goal kick too, because then your midfielders can come up into those positions and just sort of eliminate the opponent's ability to play forward. Colorado started kicking long a lot. I don't know if you noticed that, but in the second half, they started kicking long a lot, and that was mainly due to the pressure shape. And that was a third thing that I noticed. They were much better prepared to win second balls when Colorado went long.
Yeah.
You could see as soon as the ball went long, guys were thinking about where the next ball is going to be, not where that one's going. And again, that's instructional as far as I'm concerned. And I wish they did it more, because second ball wins are not something I have necessarily been super happy with them doing either. It was just a lot of things they executed a lot better in the second half of this game than I had seen them do against other opponents. And to be fair, Colorado is not at the level of the opponents they've been playing for the last month and a half.
That's true too. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, Colorado does, like, they have something to play for, right? I mean, they are fighting for a playoff spot, and
for sure,
and to come in and to have them come in and to handle them comprehensively, I think deserves a lot of praise.
So we have to talk about good John Pulskamp returning for this match, because he had a great game, right? I mean, I think, nobody's perfect, right, in a match, but I also thought the models I saw, the Opta models for post-shot XG on this were not nice to Pulskamp at all, because I thought he saved a lot more than he did. And when I looked at Y-Scout, they had it at more like 3.4 or something like that. So which sort of aligned more to what my eye test thought it was. But again, every data model's different. StatsBomb versus Opta versus ASA versus anybody is going to have different stuff. You've got the McClockbot and all the different models that are out there for modeling XG and post-shot XG. But I don't care what any of the numbers say. You save a penalty and then a doorstep rebound.
Yeah.
On a pretty... I mean, I don't know. I guess Basong, I don't know what he's supposed to do there. You give up the penalty or you give a gilt edge chance.
Right.
But he has to hook the torso there because he got beat.
Yep.
And it is what it is. But Pulskamp comes out and makes the saves. And he made another save late in the first half of this game that was really important as well to keep it to 2-1. And it was good to see, because he had, a couple not ideal performances, and it just shows that, like, hey, just keep rolling the guy out there. It's gonna balance out over time, and he is still a good player. And I was just happy to see him read a player, read his hips, make the correct save. It was a really good save too, because the ball was fairly high. Like, that is a hard one for goalkeepers to make. It like hit his top hand. He had both hands up and it hit his top hand. So it's a good save and a good double save. And
Well, it's one of those things that like, oh, we're gonna win, right? Like Pulskamp doesn't. He's not known for saving penalties, but
I think it's the second penalty he's ever actually saved.
When he saves one, it's like, oh shit! Like this is happening. So it was a good feeling in the stadium to have that sort of euphoria.
Colorado missed one the last time they played them, but Pulskamp didn't save it. It was Mihailovic off the bar.
That's right. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure the only other penalty he saved was against the LA Galaxy in 2022. And the main reason I remember it is because I was at that game. But it was Chicharito tried to go Padenka and he just stood there and caught it. I remember that one. But I think that's the only other penalty he's actually ever saved. But I mean, good for him, and good for him playing well. And he also made some key, like I saw him claim a cross in a really key circumstance. Like he had a pretty good game all around, which was good. Obviously, we talked about Joveljic. We just got done last week disparaging how sort of not involved he's been for several games, and then he comes out and has a game like this, and not just the 2 goals. He headed 2 or 3 more shots on frame. Had another foot shot on. I mean, he had like 4 or 5 shots on goal in this match. That's what you want from your striker, man.
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
Shots on goal from inside the 18-yard box. That's all I want him to do. Just keep doing that, and everything will be fine. At least as far as he's concerned.
He's good enough that if he gets that many chances, he's gonna put them away. He's gonna put 1 or 2 of them away, and that's all you can ask for your starting striker to do, right?
And before we get to the formation switch and what I think it did, Daniel Shalhoub, when they make the formation switch, starts playing plays the right side midfielder role. This is a grown ass man's goal.
It was great.
Like Ted QD Pietro tries to shove him off the ball, and he just shoves him back, rides the challenge, and then just rips it into the side netting.
Yeah.
And then almost takes out Maxu in his celebration. It was just it was great. Even QD Pietro is sort of even got his arms up what? I'm like, bro, you came into this challenge.
Yeah, right. what were you expecting? It wasn't Shoppy over there anymore. You can't just push him around.
I feel bad for Shoppy. Shoppy was pissed when he came off the field.
Yeah, I know. Well,
he had a gilt edge chance on a cross that he just absolutely clanged the crossbar on, and then after it recycled around with the rebound, got another cross from Shalhoub, and he had right-footed it and missed the frame. So I understand why he was pissed. Shoppy, I think, had the highest XG of any Sporting player in the game,
which is wild.
Yeah. I think that's probably why he was a little pissed off. It happens. Sometimes it happens. I mean, I'm not going to bag on Shoppy in this one.
Good.
There were too many positives. All right, so I want to talk about this 4-4-2 because I think that it is much more useful as a late game tactic to try to open the field than it is as a starting tactic to try to go to an opponent.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you, but again, I think that the quality of opponent has something to do with it as well, right? And so that kind of complicates the issue. But sure, it was a lot more effective given the game state and given the quality of opponent. I think it's a lot when you play teams that are a lot more dynamic in the midfield. It's always going to be difficult to try and use that formation because it's just in terms of the numbers, right? It's just an automatically limiting formation, and so if you can avoid that, and especially if you can have teams sort of pressing and not really dependent upon focusing on possessing and moving the ball through the midfield, I think that it can be a lot more effective.
So I think honestly, I think this was actually a brilliant move by Kerry in the moment that it happened, because kind of when Colorado went up 2-1 and until Sporting equalized, they were not trying to go forward with the ball that heavily. They were not
Right.
trying. They were fairly content to let Sporting sort of pass it around the half line and probe. Like that, they were content to defend and then maybe try to get a counterattacking goal or something like that. But they were not really trying that hard to press Sporting's back line with the ball. And that is a time when you can make this switch. Let Santi Munoz just do whatever he does. You don't even really care if he's being positionally responsible on the left, because Colorado's not really trying to do anything over there anyway.
Right.
And try to get a goal. And they got the goal from Shallowy. And then within, 2 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Munoz is all the way in the right half space when he delivers that pass to Mason Toye when he scores his goal. By the way, unbelievable hold-up play by Joveljic on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely gets fouled while he's trying to hold the ball up and get it to Munoz. And it's the first time you'll ever hear me say this. Good job, Fotis Bazakos, letting the play move on. And then Munoz does what he does. He hits a dime of a pass out in front of Toye, and Toye does what he does, which is attack a back line. And I got to be honest, Zach Steffen doesn't do very good on this one. But
No, he had a bad game.
but Toye places it really, really well with his left foot to get it up get it to 3-2. And I think it was right at that point. Like Colorado was already trying to start pressing forward at that point. Sporting gets a turnover, turns it back, and gets a second. It gets up 3-2. And I think by the time Colorado had actually adapted their game plan to try to come forward, Sporting had already sort of put this game away. And I think that is why I really enjoyed the switch by Kerry when he did it. He could see that there was an opportunity, and the risk of having a central player playing as a left midfielder, even though he's not going to be central, he's going to be responsible over there, is sort of negated by the fact that you need 2 goals if you want to win.
Yeah.
And you've got an opponent who's not really pressing you. Why not take advantage of that? And it worked out really well. But I think, again, this is more of a we need a goal late kind of thing than it is a start the game like this. I understand the interest in getting Santi Munoz on the field. I think he is a good player that you want to maximize. But you're not maximizing him, playing him as a left-sided midfielder at the beginning of a game. He's got too much to cover over there.
Yeah.
70 minutes in, those guys aren't running as much. There's not as much for him to cut. Like it's just a different game state, and it just seems to work better at the end.
Well, and you have to remember also that you're throughout all of this, right? When you talk about where Santi Munoz has to end up, he's still responsible for helping out Leibold until Ndembe comes in, and so. That's a big ask, to be involved in
Right.
the
well, and that's the
attack
thing. They moved to that 4-4-2 with Ndembe coming in at left back,
Yep.
and that's another reason why you're not as concerned about Munoz being defensively responsible on the left, because you have a fresh Logan Ndembe over there, right?
Right. And even though Ndembe is not the greatest defender, he's a lot more active than Leibold, and he is capable of tracking back in 1v1 defending.
Right. Well, and it's not like, I guess, was Calvin Harris playing? Oh, Calvin Harris was playing on the left. So who are you worried about? Sam Vines?
Right.
Come on.
No.
Come on. So anyway, I do think it highlighted the fact that this is a good thing to have in the toolbox, like an option, especially as long as Manu Garcia is out, and it looks like, unless something miraculous is happening in training this week, we're probably unlikely to see him at least start, much less be in the available player selection against Austin. You want to have options to how to be able to use some of your high quality attacking players. I love that we're seeing this from Mason Toye. I really do, because I think that I was surprised how little he was used prior to this point in the season. And maybe it was something like, maybe it was the situation where Kerry was still trying to figure out how to use him, right? Like, this guy is a run in behind off the back shoulder striker. How do I get him into that position? And
He is
I think
so
he's figuring
different.
it out. Yeah,
his skill set is so different than not only than what's on the team now, but than what has been on the team for the past like decade. Frankly, like it's, I mean, they've never had players like that. So what do you do with them?
You're gonna have to go back to like young Teal Bunbury or something like that to really to think of players that were doing these kinds of things, right? Yeah. And I can understand why when you have a Joveljic and you're trying not to minimize him at the same time you're trying to get a value out of someone else, it's a math problem for sure, right? Like, it's a problem you have to try to solve. It seems like he's figured out a way to do this. That Toye and Joveljic do seem to complement each other in a two-striker setup.
Yep.
The question is, how do you get the other right people on the field in order to maximize that as well? And I think they're still figuring that out. And I think it's more of a niche kind of thing when you need to try to win a goal late or something like that. But it is a valuable asset for them to have in those circumstances.
Yeah, I think the objective, long term, right, is to not be in a position where you have to have all of your best players at all of their positions on the field at the same time to even be competitive, right? Like, that's, ideally you have players that you can use in different situations because you have good squad depth and you have a higher just overall level of talent than the team has now.
Agreed. I mean, it's just trying to make the sum greater, right? Make the sum of the parts, greater. Yeah. I think, I don't know. This goes back to the conversation we had last week. I don't know if Kerry is doing as much as can be done with these guys or just as good as they are. It's hard for me to tell.
I think he's not, but I think that is just more because his lack of experience as a head coach. I think that he's trying things, and he eventually, he seems to settle on the right thing a lot. But
he also makes in-game adjustments better than probably most of the coaches in the league.
It does seem that way, right? It does absolutely seem to be the case, and. Like, I don't know, when I watch MLS games, MLS is not a league that to me is known for, coaches who are able to make those kind of adjustments. So it is kind of like an aberration. Like, that's something I'm used to seeing more, watching European leagues. And so it is kind of refreshing to see that for sure.
I've been very warmed by it.
Yeah.
That I have other concerns.
Yeah, right, it's the start, like the start of the games.
I mean, and part of it is I just think the quality of the team is such that they're going to get got at the beginning of games, because when the other team's at full strength, often they are not equipped to handle that. It's when the other team tires that they can start finding spaces a little bit better.
Sure.
And that's just because they're just not of the level, candidly. Sure. And we'll have to see if there are ways. Like I said, getting the goal early was a huge deal, but I don't know how replicable that kind of situation is, getting a belt-high header on a corner kick.
I would say not very.
But it was fun. Yeah. It was fun. The vibes were good.
The vibes
Everyone
were definitely
enjoyed
good.
it.
It was a lot of fun.
That is what we wanted, and it's been many, many weeks since we've been able to enjoy one of these games.
And frankly, like even though the team is bad and they're not in playoff contention in a real way, like there were a lot of people.
They're still 6 points ahead of St. Louis.
Right. Well, there is that, but there were a lot of people at Children's Mercy Park, and I think that the Sporting Kansas City fans just need to be congratulated for that. There were more people out there to see a crappy Sporting Kansas City game than is in Colorado's stadium almost ever. Right. Like, right. I mean, and I think that's something that maybe some people in in Sporting Kansas City's fan base might take for granted, but that level of fandom, even though there were empty seats, right? That's like the norm for every other, not every other, but most other clubs in the league. That's the norm, is lots of empty seats. And when they're bad, like when Colorado's bad, literally nobody goes to those games. And consistently this year, there have been decent attendance numbers at Children's Mercy Park, and
it's a hard one to see on TV sometimes because the camera's pointed at the East Stand, which we know is the last tickets to sell in the stadium.
Yep.
But if you're at the game, from the North, the Cauldron, the South Stand, and all of the West Stand is like 90% full.
Yeah.
And so it's peppered on the East Stand where you can see, maybe in this game, a lot of the sort of Sporting logo on the seats there, but there's still 16,000 people there. And I also have it, like I've said this before, on fairly decent authority, that a lot of those tickets are sold in the East Stand. They just are not. They just don't go. They're just not. They just don't go.
Yep.
Which is a bummer. But hopefully, this team is creating an environment by which those people will want to come back to games. And like I said, the environment when this team is winning and scoring goals and doing all, like, it is enjoyable. Like, there's no more euphoric event, in my opinion, in sports than being at a home game and watching your team score a goal. Yep. It is like a home soccer match where your team scores is like the best fan event there is.
Yep.
There's just nothing quite like it. And I think the more people that participate in it, every person I talk to that goes to their first game and does it, they're amazed about how much fun they had.
Mm-hmm.
It is. There's a reason we enjoy it as much as we do, and I'm glad that there's still as many Kansas City fans supporting this team, which has been honestly garbage for quite a while. Mm-hmm. And but still, while not being that talented and not being of the level of the top teams in this league, still putting on entertaining performances at home from time to time to remind us of like why we love this. Right?
Absolutely.
And I know on the Discord everybody was buzzing after this. I think Kalen made a comment to the effect it was like, I don't know how I dealt with wins back in the day when they were much more common because this feels like it feels like we just won the World Cup. I don't know. He didn't, I'm putting those words into his mouth, but like it just, winning right now feels like such a momentous event that you should enjoy it, and you should be reminded of the fact that these wins are not given.
Amen.
I think a lot of fans got used to it for a while, and it's not given, and it is something that you have to enjoy when it's happening.
Yeah, I as we left the stadium, that's what I said to my wife. Is this like it was like such a pleasant surprise. Like I was not expecting that at all, especially scoring 4 goals. I mean, that's just amazing. And
it was still 2-1 in what, the 70th minute?
Yeah.
73rd minute?
Yep.
I mean,
it's so enjoyable when it all clicks and it's working, and so let's just hope we can very quickly get back to the point where that's more commonplace.
100%. All right, let's move on to potpourri. Just like your favorite Jeopardy category, we got a few topics in and around the Sporting Kansas City MLS soccer sphere. The first one, the Leagues Cup final, is the talk of the MLS soccer sphere. Not simply because Seattle won 3-0, beating Miami in Seattle. It was a good crowd, and I don't know. Did you see all the stuff where there's a lot to unpack from this one, from the pregame stuff where Schmetzer's comments about they've got Lionel Messi, the greatest player ever, but we have Paul Rothrock, like all of those things.
It's great.
I love Schmetzer, man. He's great.
Me too.
But then the team doing the swap your Messi jersey for a Paul Rothrock jersey promotion at the stadium, like if the first 100 fans with a Messi jersey could trade it for a free Paul Rothrock jersey.
That's perfect.
I thought that was awesome. Like just all of that stuff leading up to it, and then the game, which 3-0 Seattle probably is kind to Seattle's performance in this one, but I think they deserve to win the match. Maybe not 3-0, but there was certainly a significant period of this match where Miami looked like they would score and perhaps take the lead when it was still 1-0. So it was 1-0 late into this match. Messi misses a shot that you almost never see him miss the frame on. There were several opportunities for Miami to score, but they didn't. And as Cameron likes to say on the Discord all the time, in the words of Pat Noonan, you got to score your fucking goals. Just score your fucking goals, and it's not a problem, right?
Yeah.
And it very much happened for Sporting Kansas City against Colorado. They scored their fucking goals. Colorado did not.
Boom.
Result. And that's what happened for Seattle versus Miami in this one. Seattle scored their fucking goals. Miami did not. And they were big mad about it afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The real Luis Suarez revealed himself.
Will the real Luis Suarez please stand up? Yes, he did. We haven't seen him in a while.
No.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
But he got back out there and just not good. I mean, I'm not going to go through a Zapruder film breakdown of all of the altercations in this one. Suarez, look, Obed Vargas and Christian Roldan muscled the hell out of Messi in this game. They had a very clear tactic to physically sort of give him the business in this one. None of it was out of bounds, but they definitely made life difficult for him physically. And I get it. Some of those guys don't like that type of play, but I mean, Messi's been around for a long time. This is not the first team nor the last team that will do
he played against Sergio Ramos for a decade.
Come on, man. This is not the first nor the last time that Messi's going to have to deal with guys using contact to try to get him off the ball. It is a well-known tactic to try to slow him down in games. Teams have been doing it forever. And I don't know. Vargas was feeling himself. And Obed Vargas should have been feeling himself. He played really well in this game. Really well. He's a 20-year-old kid. Played very well. Helped shut down Lionel Messi in a cup final. And was feeling himself. And Suarez was not feeling it. And the dude's literally old enough to be Vargas's dad. Mm-hmm. Goes over there and throws him in a headlock. And it goes from hey, you're being a little too much to literally physically trying to intimidate him. And he gets out of the headlock and starts smiling and chirping, and man, did Suarez not like that. And it just turned into this sort of petulant version of Suarez and Busquets and Toto Aviles and all kinds of guys getting into this. And Steven Lenhart, who's apparently on the Sounders coaching staff.
I learned that today, and I was like, what the hell? That's a name that I haven't heard in a minute, but
this is the Obi-Wan Kenobi meme.
just hearing that he's involved in this scuffle is that tracks,
Yeah. I think Mike Kuhn said
how
it
Steven Lenhart.
The second least surprising person to be in this fight than Luis Suarez.
Oh man, I love that guy.
But yeah, so Steven Lenhart's in there. Freddie Juarez is all up in. It's mostly the Sounders coaching staff and Jackson Reagan. He gets Toto Aviles kind of by the neck as he's trying to drag him out of the fracas. But I think the big thing that everyone's going to recognize is the whole situation with Suarez stepping on the foot of the security guy to hold him there so he could spit on him.
That's pretty bad.
That's where you see full Suarez.
Yeah.
Never go full Suarez.
No.
Never do it.
No.
He is... we still haven't really heard what the repercussions are going to be of this one. Listen, none of what Suarez did is okay. He deserves to be suspended for several games.
He does.
Busquets probably should be as well. He closed fist hit Vargas in the head, in the face, caught him right in the chin. I mean... Sergio Busquets is not, Roy Jones Jr., right? So it's not like it's not like it connected with a ton of effort, but he swung with a closed fist and hit him in the chin. Mm-hmm. That's those both probably deserve multiple games.
Yep.
The other stuff, we'll have to see what Garber decides to do, but he does have if they do nothing, it's because Garber chose not to. He has 100% the authority within the CBA to do this. I'll if I think about putting it in the Discord if anyone's interested. Maybe you know what? No one's interested. I'm not going to put it in the Discord. There is language in the CBA. Just take it from me. There is language in the CBA that allows him to make suspensions within league matches for this behavior. And so if they don't, it's because he chose not to. And so I would be surprised if nothing happened. The question is, do they have to do the both sides thing a little bit? Does Jackson Reagan sit a game or two?
Mm-hmm.
You know, is there a little bit of a, you know, does Stephen Lenhart end up, you know, suspended from the sidelines for a few matches? I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know what you thought about that whole situation, but it was certainly the talk of our sort of sphere for even the last couple days.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it live, and I still haven't watched it just because I kind of refuse to watch it. It's, I don't know. It's drama that I don't need in my life. I kind of chuckled at it, especially when I saw the names that were involved. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I just.
It's pretty bad, dude. Like, it's not like, oh, these guys were pushing and shoving.
No, right. I know it's bad. I just like, I'm just like, whatever, right? It doesn't, I saw a video today on social media of Inter Miami fans and Seattle fans going at it. And I was like,
that was a small thing that happened in one little pocket. There was like 5 fans on 5 fans.
Sure.
In this, like,
it just felt like we're a proper footballing country now, right? It's like, you know, people are like, you know.
That same shit happened outside the plaza again after the Chivas match in Kansas City. Like,
right.
And it's unfortunate and it's terrible. And I don't ever want to like diminish the behavior as being okay. It's not. It's shitty and it should not happen.
But it's just a few people.
But it is a very, very significant minority of the people that went to the match. So
well, and even you know, even the incident itself, like when you look at the list of names involved, you're like, okay, that makes sense, right? Like it's like
Busquets was the one that made no sense. He completely lost his mind, dude. I would never have thought this.
Maybe he's just spent too much time hanging around Suarez. I don't know.
Jeez. I mean, anyway, for me, it just highlighted the level of just sort of like petulance and sort of like we're the kings of this league kind of mentality of these guys.
It makes
after they just got smoked in a cup final, like they haven't won a trophy since the Supporters Shield, right?
They have not,
and they've lost in several finals. So it's like, I think they thought they were going to come in and walk all this stuff.
Oh, 100%. And you know,
and they didn't realize that Maxi Falcon and Toto Aviles or, you know, whoever were going to have to play center back for them.
Right.
Like
maybe jettisoning all of the, you know, the MLS veterans and young talent in
trading
favor.
Drake Callender so you can play Oscar Ustari.
Maybe doing that, you know, instead of instead bringing in all of Messi's buddies, like, wasn't the smartest idea. I mean, it's a lesson in hubris, and that's a lesson as old as time itself, right? Like, that's the stuff of legends and you know, epic poetry and all that shit, right? Like, it's just so predictable and so silly, and I, like, you know, even though I'm not like a fan of like the you know, the physical stuff and the drama, like I am a fan of the narrative, and I am a fan of villains, and I think that Inter Miami and even Messi becoming MLS villains is delicious. I love it, and I think everybody should love it because it's entertaining, and you know, why else do we follow sports but to be entertained? And so I am
100%.
I am 100% here for the heel turn of Inter Miami, and I think we should all just embrace it.
I mean, for a lot of MLS fans, the heel turn has been there. It's happened
sure, absolutely,
ago, right? Just for a lot of fans,
but that's just the same thing with the Galaxy, right? Like everybody feels like everybody's handing Inter Miami everything, but it's different when it's like the actual players being assholes on the field, right?
Right. I mean, to be fair to Messi, he and Christian Roldan were just standing off to the side having a chat while all this was going on. Like,
Two legends.
Exactly. Two legends for their national teams standing there, just having a chat and like, I don't want any of this. Speaking of that, Christian Roldan today was added to the U.S. men's national team roster. And as you can imagine, everyone took it totally rationally. It was not...
honestly, if Christian Roldan, just somehow turns out to be like, the defensive midfielder who's the perfect, counterpart to Tyler Adams, like that would make me happy. And I'm not a big Christian Roldan fan, but I think
he's been fantastic for the last couple years.
Yeah, like in that role, he's been he's been great, and he's been great on a level that I suspect might translate to the international level. I mean, the problem with Roldan is always that I think it has always been that he was a really great MLS player, but the things that he was great at didn't really upscale into being like a high level international player.
Also, Berhalter was playing him at like right wing,
right,
and as attacking midfielder.
Right, he was always slotted in as a more attacking player, and that's just not like he's like. Maybe he's a good attacking player from MLS, but that's
things like
sure.
That's the thing. The thing about Christian Roldan is that he will do anything you ask him to do.
Right.
And he is utilitarian enough to be deployed in several different ways.
Yeah.
And Schmetzer, to his credit, has used Roldan in several different ways as he's needed to for injury reasons or whatnot. But obviously, with Joao Paulo's issues getting on the field, they've had to kind of move him back into this double pivot. And also with Rusnak and with Paul Rothrock and Pedro de la Vega and whatnot, they don't need him up there.
Right.
So he's been able to play in this double pivot with Obed Vargas and has been fantastic. Fantastic. And if Poch is going to continue to run a double pivot, which seems to make sense with the Malik Tillmans and if you think of like the guys that would play for this team, Malik Tillman, Diego Luna, Jack McGlynn, is Jack McGlynn in this? I think he's in this camp as well. Gio Reyna, like all these types of players, none of them are big-time ground covering. I mean, Luna maybe a little bit more than others. Hustle boys, right? Like, they want to get on the ball in the pocket and deliver.
Yep.
You need some guys behind that will help manage that space.
And who aren't afraid to do the dirty work, who aren't afraid to cover the space and make the tackles and shield center backs and do all that stuff.
And also just get into challenges with guys.
Yeah.
Just like do what Roldan did in this game, which is just make it fucking difficult for the opponent to do anything, right? Like, and that is Tyler, and that is Roldan. And
having Tyler back
I like
there,
him way better than like Luca Della Torre or somebody like that, right?
Right. I mean, Luca Della Torre doesn't have the 6 tendencies, right? He's like an 8 to 10. That's not really what's needed. What's needed is a 6 to 8, and that's the kind of person that can slot in, I think, really nicely next to Tyler Adams. And Tyler Adams can, when you go forward, Roldan has enough quality to still be a contributor, in the attack, maybe from albeit a little bit deeper role, but he has, he can do that with Tyler Adams playing behind him.
Football player,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
And he's seen enough, and he's played enough games, and he knows how to read space. And I think that I'm surprised it's taken this long. The Scuff guys were making jokes about the fact that like it seemed like all the players that got called, like they did the Monday review this week, and they're making jokes about like, is Pochettino only just watching a couple teams in MLS because it's like the Vancouver Whitecaps get a lot of call-ups, and it's like what teams is he watching? And Charlie Boehm made sort of a salient point that might not be completely false. The Vancouver Whitecaps have played Miami a lot this year.
Yeah.
And played well against Miami this year. The Seattle Sounders just beat Miami in a final. I'm just saying, that certainly at least Jesus, Poch's assistant, is watching that game.
Yeah.
And Poch is probably watching some of that as well, because he's aware of Messi and he's aware of Rodrigo de Paul and all these other guys. We know that he's a fan of the Argentinian national team. Like, he's probably watching some of this stuff, and he was like, hey, who's this guy? I mean, I'm sorry that it sounds like that, but I do believe that Poch, from when it comes to a scouting perspective, might be a little bit along those lines. He's not a film grinder. This is not him.
He's more vibey than that.
He is. But I just think it's amazing that it's taken this long for him to get called in, because I think Roldan is the epitome of a Pochettino type player.
100%. Yep.
Like, he is the vibe and the style of a player that Pochettino is going to endear himself to. And also what has endeared him to MLS, the MLS players he's brought in, which are the kind of sort of gritty, fighty players that he wants and he wants to at least build a culture of within the club, within the national team.
I mean, I think of him, when I think of somebody, an ideal person to pair next to Tyler Adams, I mean, I definitely think of Ryan Christie, right, which is his partner generally at Bournemouth. And, I think that Roldan kind of sort of fits in that mold a little bit. And so, like, I'm really excited to see that pairing. And I think that it might, you just never know about these things, right? That might be the sort of level of rapport and sort of, different players, covering for each other's weaknesses and emphasizing each other's strengths. That might be the thing that really solidifies into a solid midfield pairing. Because I think that's maybe an underrated issue that the team has, is because there's so many other problems going on in terms of the roster and the fit and all of those things. Is that if Pochettino could come up with a rock solid midfield double pivot, like, that just makes everything else easier, right?
Yeah, this is no dig on Sebastian Berhalter. I think he's had a very fine season in Vancouver. I think Roldan is a better player.
I do too.
Berhalter is.
And with the exception of maybe like set piece delivery, I would totally agree with you. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Berhalter is obviously, and that's one of those things you have to balance. Do you have the other right people on the field? Do you make a concession somewhere because you want to have good set piece? And he is obviously a very, very good at that. So, but the thing
about Roldan too, like in just in terms of just including him in your roster overall, that dude can and will play anywhere. And so it gives you a little bit of flexibility and a little bit of, maybe you can only bring in Serginho Dest, but you've got Christian Roldan on your team. You throw him at right back, he can do that. Like for a game, whatever.
Sure. I mean, I don't really want that.
No, nobody wants that.
Sure, I guess. I mean, that's some value that you have if necessary. But I mean, the midfield's pretty light in this one. I mean, and they've got Sean Zawadzki listed as a midfielder as well, and that guy's been playing the middle of a back three for most of the season. So, like, it's Tyler, Berhalter, Luca de la Torre, Diego Luna, Jack McGlynn, Sean Zawadzki. Berhalter is the only one that sort of jumps out to me as a guy who can play alongside Tyler Adams in a double pivot. And they certainly don't have. It's not like Luna or Jack McGlynn are free eights. So, like, you've got, I mean, I do think that he's a good addition, and we might see him play more than perhaps expected for the 24th guy to be added to the roster. Anyway, I think it's actually a smart addition, and I'm actually interested to see it. Like, when I saw him get called in, I was interested to see how he could pair with Tyler on that team, and I really think it could work, like you said. Speaking of national team duty, Ian James, Zoran Basong, unfortunately, are going to be out for the upcoming match. Zoran Basong going to be out for 2 matches because he's got yellow card accumulation as well. But James going to the U17 camp it's in Europe somewhere, isn't it?
I don't know. I just saw that he got called up. I didn't see where it was.
He's in the U17 camp. It looks to be sort of positioning himself to being on the U17 World Cup team, which would be nice. But we'll see how this goes, how this camp goes, and whether he's able to continue his progression. Zoe headed to Romania for the Canadian national team's friendlies in Europe. So both will be out for this weekend, and obviously, like I said, Basong will be out for an additional week because of his yellow card accumulation. Last thing in potpourri, the Kansas City Current win again. Shocking development. Once they got past sort of the meat of the schedule, like I don't want to feel too like confident, but they certainly don't have. They certainly look like a team that is going to roll to the title. Do they not?
They do. There is a sense of inevitability around them for sure.
They're 14 points clear.
Yeah.
Right now.
Wow.
After 18 games.
Like we keep hearing those numbers, and every time I hear it, it's just like it's kind of incomprehensible. It's crazy.
I really don't even know. Like, I'm running out of superlatives at this point. They are just that good. In this game, I don't think they were especially spectacular, but they get the fluky goal off the Schross, and that, like, unfortunately for an opponent, especially playing in Kansas City, like if you're going to come to CPKC Stadium, you go down early.
You could
against that team. Like, what do you do? Open yourselves up? No, you're going to get boat raced. So you have to just sort of keep, plodding along and trying. And it's not like the Courage never got chances, but it wasn't like any of them were that outstanding. And yeah, I mean, they get the 2 goals in the first half and just sort of maintain from that point and get another 2-0 win and have still only given up 10 goals in 18 games. And
that is wild. That's just ridiculous.
So they're 16 points clear, or excuse me, 14 points clear in first place of the Spirit. The Spirit to the Dash in 11th is 12 points. So 2 to 11 is a 12-point gap. 1 to 2 is a 14-point gap.
Yeah. They are indeed the Death Star.
The Death Star Current strike again.
Yeah.
And then they get Bay FC this weekend, which is, it's a road game, but it's also like that is not a team that I am really that concerned about defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, I guess any team can win any game, technically. But like I said, technically.
But not really.
But I mean, yeah, the rest of their matches are.
Bay FC has lost 3 straight games, so they're not.
And they just lost to Angel City without Alyssa Thompson, who's
they're not really rolling.
About to move to Chelsea. So the only big game, I guess, they have Gotham and they have Spirit on the 13th at home, and then Gotham at home. Otherwise, it's like Seattle, Chicago, Angel City, Houston.
Yeah,
I mean, they've really gotten past the most difficult parts of the schedule outside of the Spirit coming. The Spirit coming to town will be a big one.
Yeah,
I mean that could be one. That could be a game where they clinch the title. To be completely honest,
that would
if
be
they
great.
win against Bay this week and the Spirit don't win, and then they beat the Spirit, they could. I mean, I think it's mathematically possible. I don't know that it's likely, but mathematically possible. Anyway, they're definitely looking like the team. They're not looking like, they are the team to beat in the NWSL this season. All right, let's move on to one thing to look for. Austin coming to town. Sunday night soccer. Our boy Andrew Wiebe will be in the house. Eating Uncrustables on the sideline. That's a recent thing I learned that Wiebe does at halftime at games. Is
no
destroys
really?
an Uncrustable. Yeah,
that's crazy.
I mean, I can sort of understand it at some level. If you're like, you need some sustenance, your blood sugar's low, and I mean, I don't think he gets much time.
Okay, but like bananas exist, right? Like, I don't know.
Okay, Dad.
An Uncrustable.
What's wrong with Uncrustables? They're delicious.
Okay.
You don't like Uncrustables?
I honestly, I don't mind the crust, so I don't know that I've ever actually had an Uncrustable.
I mean, it's a fucking peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Let's be honest.
Sure.
Right? Like,
which I love. Yeah.
They got the crust off a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a machine. Anyway, we got way off topic on this one. Another home game against, as I said here in the rundown, a less frightening opponent than we've been dealing with for several weeks. Austin, only one loss in their last 7 league games, but they do have a lot of draws in there. And let's be honest, this 7-game run-in has not been the most dangerous opponents in the league.
No, they lost. They lost to CF Montreal. Come on.
I mean, it was away, right? So there's
okay.
But they lost to Montreal. Their one loss in those 7 games is to Montreal. These are the teams they've played in the last 7: the New England Revolution, the LA Galaxy, DC United, Houston, Dallas, Montreal, and then the Earthquakes, who they beat at home last weekend in a game they, were fairly lucky in. They basically got gifted a goal in that one, and I think that it is a team that is on a good run of results that is not necessarily playing that great. They're just getting fortuitous results. Now, if anyone knows anything about that would be Sporting Kansas City fans. So, what to expect in this one? It looks like Elia is probably still out. From what I've seen, I haven't seen any reports this week on where he's at from a recovery perspective, but he was not available. It seems like it will probably be a little bit before he returns, so I would expect that they're going to be running sort of a double pivot-y thing again. And it was sort of 4-4-2-ish, even though I think FootMob tried to call it a 4-3-3. It's really sort of a 4-4-2 with Owen Wolf playing as a left-sided midfielder. And then they've got Bukhari and Urzuni as the 2 forwards. But, I mean, really, with Austin, your main concern is breaking down their defense. They're a very good defensive team. Estevez has them very organized, kind of in the Greg Berhalter vein. They don't give up a ton of chances. They force you to sort of break them down. And they can be dangerous. Obviously much more dangerous in the second half of the season as far as scoring, but they scored way less goals than Sporting Kansas City has.
Yeah.
And they do not have the clinical shooters that Sporting Kansas City has. Really the key is going to be trying to break them down. Last thing, who's going to play in this game? So this is really more where you come in, Cody. No Zoran Basong. Probably no Manu Garcia. Eric Tommy was on the bench on Saturday and did a lot of nice running along the sideline in the second half, but never got into the game. He has obviously continued positively in training this week. They had all the wonderful images from training on Instagram and all the social medias today. What would you do based on what you've seen from this team with this lineup and with Austin or against Austin on Sunday?
I would trot out a 4-2-3-1 with Ndenbe starting. Considering he's ready to go, and instead of Basong, I would go ahead and slot in our buddy Radia there at the
really.
I would. Yeah, I mean, who else is it, right? Like
Bartlett. I would put Bartlett in there.
I don't know, man. I have been unconvinced by Bartlett in the double pivot, so I don't know. I mean,
what makes you think Radia would be better? I'm just curious.
I honestly don't know. I don't have a good like solid reason to back it up.
Vibes?
Totally vibes.
Like the cut of his jib?
Totally vibes. Yeah, totally vibes. Yeah, so like, I don't know, for some reason, like when I think about it, I would prefer to have, Bartlett if we're going with a single pivot and Radia as a double pivot. I would not be opposed to Bartlett starting though. I mean, that's not like a deal breaker for me. I'm still skeptical of him, knowing his role, like his positioning, his spacing, in a double pivot always kind of bothers me. There are lots of things that bother me about our other friend in that role as
Radia?
well.
Like I was gonna say, you're naming a bunch of issues that Radia
I know,
also has.
I know. So maybe I'm talking myself out of it now that I'm thinking about it. Um, but
Bartlett's at least a lot more mobile than Radia
is mobile, yes, not more mobile, just mobile. Period.
Right, correct.
Yeah.
Is
yeah.
capable of getting into a challenge.
So I would love to see the Miller Volater center back pairing return. I think that I wouldn't be totally disappointed to see Ian James have another start, but
He can't. He's in.
He's
Europe
in Europe,
He's at
right?
National team camp. Yeah.
Who knows about Montez? Who knows? I would just, I would just prefer the team's coming off a good win at home. I would prefer to build upon that and to mess with things as little as possible. So I don't know that this is a place where I'd like to see Montez get his first start. I would, if he comes on, later in the game, fine. I would be fine seeing Eric Tommy instead of Shapi Suleimanov. But I don't think that, based on what we've seen, that Eric Tommy's ready to start. So I would expect to see Shapi Suleimanov. And so, I would hope. I guess my main point is that I would hope to see, some semblance of a 4-2-3-1, especially with oh my God, Munoz playing in
playing as a 10.
the 10. That's really what I'm looking for more than anything, because I think that is I think that's the best sort of basis for having a creative and impactful attack going forward, and I do think that's going to be important. And so, having said all of that, I am certain that Zavagnin will galaxy brain the whole thing and try out a 4-3-3, and it'll be like Davis and Radia and Bartlett in the 4-3-3.
That would be my concern.
That is my concern, and I can really, really see it happening, and I will not be thrilled if that happens. So
that would, and that is, you just walked right into my nightmare, because that is my concern as to what will happen because of the limitation of Basong. Does he feel good about either of his options starting the game in the double pivot? Does he feel good about, all of his central midfield options outside of Basong are not necessarily the greatest. Now, at least the noteworthy thing I would say over the last couple games is that Bartlett has come in to play the double pivot. Radia came in at the end of this match and played as a 10.
Yeah.
For 5 minutes or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
But he did his average position was super high. look at the Y-Scout thing I sent you.
He's a ball winning 10.
His average position was up where Munoz's average position was. It really is. It's wild. But yeah, that could be. It's extremely small sample size, so I'm not sure what it means about anything. But I do think that Bartlett has come in to play in the double pivot as a sub several times. He did it for half an hour in this one. Gets an assist. Not like super noteworthy, right, appearance, but not like bad either.
Not terrible,
right?
Something to build on at least.
The other thing with Bartlett is if Leibold is going to the bench, you need someone to take set pieces. And Bartlett is adept at that as well. So, I do think that there's a case to be made that a 4-2-3-1 with Bartlett with Davis in the double pivot could work, especially given, I will say that, especially given how this double pivot played against Colorado, where Basong was playing a lot deeper and Davis was advanced more. And I think that type of setup would play to Bartlett's strengths a little bit more as well.
Sure.
I'm talking myself into it, man. I just don't want to see it. If it's a 4-3-3 with Radia playing as a left-sided 8, I might just walk out. I might just be like, I don't need to see this. I know how this story ends. Not watching.
Yeah, I think it's more. I think we have decided in this conversation that it's more about what we don't want to see than what we do want to see.
What is the least shitty option? Like, that's
Right.
what we're talking about with this
Right.
team.
Yep.
In most circumstances, what is the least shitty option? I think it's Bartlett and a double pivot with Davis, isn't it not?
I agree. Yep. Totally agree.
Do you want to put Tim Leibold as a midfielder?
I have always wanted to see that just for shits and giggles, but no, I don't want to see that right now.
I mean,
Deep lying playmaker, Tim
I don't know about
Leibold. Let's go.
I don't know about deep lying. I mean, because that means he's got defensive responsibilities in transition.
That is true. Very
Don't
true.
necessarily want that. But yeah, I agree with you. Backline, I would like to see Miller come back in with Volador, unless Montez, it's his time. I don't know.
No.
No, it's not his time.
Not to start. Not to start.
Well,
No.
I mean, how are we ever gonna listen? As much as maybe we need Kerry to like send a memo to Kerry and be like, if you're gonna fuck around and try shit, can you do it at road games?
That's
And let us
kind
have fun at
of
home
that's
games?
that's kind of what I'm thinking, right? Is that we just won a home game. Let's win another home game. Not fuck around.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is exactly my thoughts.
we are team. Don't fuck around at home.
At home.
And on that note, I'm Drew. He's Cody. We'll talk to y'all next week.
Go Sporting.